Welcome back, everyone. No matter where you are, no matter what time it may be, I hope y'all are doing well out there. It's back to business as usual. As you may have guessed, I do have some new encounters for you guys. These encounters are very different from different people, from different parts of the country. But all of them share this same look that people get when they've seen something their brain wasn't built to handle. Something that will change the way they look at the world, possibly from now on. It gets to a certain point where I narrate so many of these that I don't even know what to say anymore. All I do know for sure is you never know what to expect. So I guess the old saying stands today. Expect the unexpected. None of these are exaggerated. None of them are stretched. These people sent these to me, and I will read them exactly as they were sent. Some of them are messy, uneven, emotional, and mostly hard to get through. Before I jump in, I want to thank you for being here and thank you for listening. I truly appreciate it. If you would be so kind as to hit the like button, that would help out tremendously. Some may not be aware of this, but if you hit that like button, it is more likely that the algorithm will share this content with new viewers and help the channel to grow. It's very tough to get attention when you run a smaller channel like this. Sharing and commenting, of course, helps as well. It's pretty simple. The more engagement the video gets, the more likely it is to be shared with others. And that is the ultimate goal. Inform as many people as we possibly can. Also, if you're listening and you've had an encounter of your own and would like to share it here on the channel, be sure and reach out to me. Send me an email. I'd love to hear from you. My email address will be linked in the description below this video. Now that's enough rambling from me. Legends, lock in, and let's begin. Everyone grab a drink. Lock your doors and windows. Hit the lights, and let's get started. Reels. I don't really know what to even call this. I've rewritten it at least 3 times because it seems I can't make it come out to sound normal at all. It's not normal, of course, so I'm going to just send it the way that it comes out of my head. Maybe it'll make more sense to you than it does to me. I'm 63 years old. This happened years ago when I was around 29. It was up near Orofino, Idaho. I was working nights for a little mill that's not there anymore. They had me doing cleanup on the back end of the property where the river bends. It wasn't a job you really needed to think about. Just blow down the sawdust, keep the belt clear, and make sure nothing jams up. I guess I should make this clear before I go any farther. I didn't believe in anything back then. Not ghosts, not monsters, not whatever people say these dogmen are. I still don't know what I believe, truthfully. I just know what I saw and what it did to me. Anyway, the night it happened, something was just not right, and I can't explain that part. It wasn't quiet or anything like that. People always say it was silent. No, it wasn't like that. Everything was normal. The machines were running. Water was rushing. Everything was as usual. But I felt watched. I'd never felt that before, not that strong. It wasn't in the dramatic way people say after the fact. It was just this intense pressure between my shoulders, the kind you'll ignore until it's too late. For some reason, I was focused toward the loader yard because that's the only place someone could have come from. There was nothing there. I remember thinking maybe it was a cat. Mountain lions sneak up on you sometimes. That's just how they hunt. I've had a few near misses over the years. I don't remember when I first saw the shape. That's the part that just puzzles me. I can't remember that, and it drives me mad. I didn't even notice it. It was like it was just suddenly part of the scene, like my brain had been looking at it for minutes before actually seeing it. It was across the yard near the old chain-link fence. I thought it was two guys standing behind each other, because the top half and the bottom half didn't match. The shoulders were completely different. They were too high and too forward. The legs were bent very strange, like someone standing on the balls of their feet. I remember thinking, why is he standing like that? What's wrong with him? It wasn't until it moved a bit that I understood that it wasn't a man. It didn't turn or step. It just kind of rearranged or shuffled its position, like the whole body tightened up, then loosened into a perfect shape. I don't even know if I'm describing this in a way you could understand. It looked painful, like something stuck between what it was and what it was trying to be. I never saw its face. People always ask and want to know about that part. It kept its head angled down, like it was smelling the ground or listening. The only thing I remember clearly was the outline of the ears when it tilted. They were long, sharp, and pushed back against the head like a dog that's about to run. It wasn't huge. I think some people exaggerate that because they're scared, or maybe they do see one bigger. Who knows? I'm not going to say. I'm just guessing. This wasn't small either, though. It was definitely much larger than you would expect. The proportions were wrong. The posture was wrong. The way it moved was wrong. It was all just wrong. I should have run. Everyone says that. But I didn't feel scared. Not yet. I felt nothing, honestly. Like I was standing outside of my body. I think that's what made it worse later on. What snapped me out of it was the way it lifted one arm. No, not lifted, it uncoiled it. The elbow was too high. The hand hung down low past its knee almost. When it stretched its fingers, I realized how long they were. I don't know why, but that's when everything inside of me broke loose. I just started violently shaking, and my hands went numb and tingled. I heard no noise. It didn't charge. It didn't growl. It didn't even come closer to me. It just knew I finally understood what I was looking at. That's when it stepped back into the trees behind it. One step, two, then gone. There was no sound, as I said. I heard no branches breaking. It's like it knew exactly where to step without making noise. I left the mill that night. I didn't even finish that shift. I drove home and sat in the kitchen until the sun came up thinking, trying to speculate, come up with any reason to explain what I'd just seen. I didn't drink anything. I'm not an alcoholic, or I don't enjoy that. Not judging those that do, but that's just not me. My wife at the time thought I'd had some kind of breakdown. She said I kept asking her, do my legs bend the right way? Do I stand normally? I don't remember saying any of that, but I believe her. I've never told anyone this part, not even her. For years after, I'd see shapes where they shouldn't be. Not the thing itself, just outlines that didn't match the rest of the world. Ears where there shouldn't be ears. A shoulder that was too high. A stance that was too forward. Once I almost crashed my truck because I thought something was crouched at the trees off Highway 12. It wasn't there, but for a second my brain thought it was. It stopped happening when I got older. I don't know why. Maybe you just run out of fear eventually. Anyway, that's it. If you use this, don't dress it up. Don't turn it into something bigger than it was. It already took enough from me. Harold. Hey, man. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kinda nervous about sending this. It sounds crazy, but I'm just gonna send it so you can decide if it's something you want to use or not. If you have any questions or anything further, please don't hesitate to contact me and let me know. I'll try to clear up any questions the best I can. So my encounter happened last year, near Hector, Arkansas. That's Pope County, if you want to look it up. I live outside of town on a dirt road that's basically just woods and one little grocery store 10 miles off. We don't lock our doors out here unless we're going to be gone for a few days. Anyway, this was maybe 2 a.m. I wasn't even doing anything interesting. I was sitting on my porch smoking because my girlfriend was asleep and hates the smell. I kept hearing this noise that I couldn't place down past the ditch. It wasn't loud. It was kind of like a rabbit running, but heavier than that. I figured it was an armadillo because we do get them constantly. I only looked because I saw something quick move across the driveway. It was fast enough that I barely caught it out of the corner of my eye. I didn't even register it at first. It was just this blur going from left to right. I remember thinking, though, that looked too big to be a dog, but it looked like a damn dog. Now, it didn't stand up. It was on all fours when it ran. I honestly thought I'd imagined it. It went so quickly. A few seconds later, I heard leaves kick up somewhere behind the propane tank. And that's when it finally stood up. Because whatever it is, it sounded, I don't know, sharp, maybe. Like claws hitting the gravel, but fast. Faster than a dog would be able to move. I said hello out loud because I thought maybe some idiot was messing around. I don't know why I said that. It just sort of came out. You could say I was getting nervous. Most people may not get this, but trust me, I keep trying to explain it to myself as well. First there was this shape. It was low to the ground, but not on all fours at this point. It was like it was trying to crouch, but failing to do so. Then it darted behind a tree so quick I actually jumped. Its hands, I saw those clearly. It wasn't a paw, it was a hand. The fingers were bent in weird ways, almost like it wasn't used to putting weight on them. I swear to God, Reels, something was standing behind that tree watching me. I could see one shoulder sticking out, and the shoulder was extremely high up. It was way higher than it would have been if it was a person back there trying to crouch. It twitched like it was trying to settle itself. I didn't move. I couldn't breathe. I felt like my whole body was just locked up. My ears started ringing and my chest got super tight. I don't know, I can't tell you, or estimate how long I stared at that tree. It was long enough my eyes began to cross and started getting blurry. It felt like a very long time. It finally leaned out just enough for me to see the side of its head. I didn't get a full look, but I saw enough. I saw a long snout, and it wasn't a bear, not even close. Bears don't move like that, and they definitely don't peek around trees like a person. When it leaned, I heard this sound. It was like a fast exhale through teeth, like someone freezing cold and shaking. And then out of nowhere, with no warning, this thing just took off. I mean, it bolted. It wasn't toward me either. It just took off back behind it toward the woods. But the speed of this thing, Man, a person can't move like that. It looked like whoever built it didn't decide whether it should run like a person or an animal, somewhere in between. I didn't even realize I was crying until I got inside and shut the door. My legs felt like jello and they were shaking so bad I couldn't stand up straight. I tried to tell my girlfriend at the time, but when I started explaining it out loud, I sounded insane, and I knew it. She told me it was probably a hog or a bear. I was over-exaggerating. A hog. I wish it was a hog. I didn't sleep for 2 days. Every time something would move outside after dark, my whole body reacted like it was happening again. The stupidest part is I keep going out on the porch at night now trying to see it again. Explain that one. Yeah, I'm a genius. I don't know why. I feel this way, but I can't stop it. Maybe if I see it a second time, I can convince myself it was something normal. But I don't think it was. Actually, I know what it was. We all do. I don't care what anyone calls what I saw. Werewolf, dogman, walking wolf, whatever. I don't just want a name for it. I just want my brain to stop replaying this over and over. If you use this, please change my name. I don't want anyone around here knowing that I sent this in. L. Hector, Arkansas. Hey, Reels. Alright, man. I've tried for over a year to convince myself this was just a regular animal. Misidentified wildlife. And honestly, I'd be thrilled if you told me it sounds like a bear and not a dog man. I would love for this to be a bear. Bears are great. Bears are predictable. They don't give you nightmares about stuff that stands like a guy and moves like it's double-jointed. Anyway, I'll get back to the point. This all happened in Tamworth, New Hampshire last October. I worked for this tiny resort place up near the mountains, mostly fixing heaters, unclogging sinks, showing people where the trash bins are. It was around 10 p.m., kind of warm out still, and I'd gone to lock up the recreation building. There's this path behind it that goes down toward the river, and I heard something moving down there. That's normal. We get a lot of foxes, deer, even the occasional moose that wanders too close. What wasn't normal was how fast it was moving. First time I noticed it, I didn't even see the thing. I just saw the bushes bend way harder than an animal could bend them. I've actually laughed out loud because I thought, oh good, it's the world's angriest squirrel. I was walking back toward my truck when something stepped out from behind one of the dumpsters. At that moment, I didn't get a full look at it, I just saw the legs. And before you picture anything, no, they didn't look like human legs. No, they didn't look like animal legs either. They were too straight, like something tall trying to stay quiet. I froze, not a scared froze, more like, did I just see someone's weird art project come to life, frozen. And then this arm slid around the dumpster. It was long as hell, like it was feeling its way around. The hand kinda flexed, like it was thinking about grabbing something but didn't. I stood there for a while trying to assess the situation. I couldn't believe it. I kept blinking, closing my eyes, pressing them hard, hoping it would be gone when I opened them. It never was. It was there. Then I started telling myself someone was pranking me. I even said out loud, okay, very funny, because that's what my dumb brain does under pressure. It tries to make jokes, as you've probably noticed so far. But it didn't react, it didn't hide, it didn't attack, it didn't run. It just stayed there, with its arm around the dumpster. It pulled the rest of itself from behind there eventually in one smooth motion. I barely caught the shape of the head and shoulders before it turned away. The neck was too short, almost like it didn't have one. It was just a giant wolf head set on top of extremely wide shoulders. Or maybe the head was too far forward. It's hard to explain. Its back was hunched, but not like an old person, more like something built to crouch but trying to walk upright anyway. It didn't even look at me, not once. That somehow makes it worse. I remember the sound of its feet on the ground. It was in turn of someone wearing padded boots, too soft for how big it was. I don't know how something that probably weighs 300 pounds could move and step that quietly. When it passed between the truck and the shed, I got a better, but still quick look at the top of its head, pointed, like canine ears, but tilted back a bit. Not perked up, they were more flattened. It never changed its speed. It never made any sounds. It just moved through the lot like it had somewhere else to be. The craziest part of this entire thing, I tried to follow it, and it wasn't even on purpose. My brain just walked forward a few steps after it disappeared behind the trees, like I was trying to figure out what category of weird to file this under. I stopped as soon as I realized what I was doing. I remember thinking to myself over and over again, what the hell did I just see? I didn't sleep for a while. Not much anyway, maybe a few hours a night. Not because I was terrified, but because I could not for the life of me figure out what I'd seen. A week later, I told a co-worker, and he joked about me seeing Bigfoot's skinny cousin. I laughed, of course, but it wasn't a joke to me. I felt pretty bad after he said that, and I didn't really want to talk about it anymore. Was this a dogman that I seen? I honestly don't know what dogmen are supposed to look like. All I know is what I've heard other people say. I do know it wasn't a bear, and it wasn't someone in a Halloween costume. It moved like it had the wrong instructions for how its joints were supposed to work. Use this if you want. I don't care about my name being changed. Nobody up here believes anything unless it's printed on the diner menu anyway. Evan. Good evening, Reels. You can call me Mark. I work for NDOT District 3 out near Ely, Nevada. I'm not giving my last name, and I don't want anyone contacting me about this, please. I'm only writing because I've heard a few of your other stories, and most people seem scared out of their minds. I wasn't, strangely. I don't know why, but I wasn't. This was May of 2021. I was doing a night inspection on a section of US 50 between Cold Creek and the Sacramento Pass turnoff. We'd had washout problems earlier that week, and I stopped at one of the culverts to check for debris. I had the truck running with the headlights on the embankment. When I walked back toward the driver's side, something was standing on the rise about 40, maybe 50 yards away. There's nothing out there but scrub and rock, so anything taller than 3 feet usually stands out pretty good. This thing was well taller than that. Maybe 6.5, close to 7 feet. I'm not guessing its weight because I think people get carried away with stuff like that. It was standing sideways to me at first, profile view. The head shape was not human. It was too long in the front. The back had a slope to it like an animal's. The arms were extremely long, way longer than a person. Not by a lot, I guess, but enough to know that it wasn't a human arm. What I remember most was the way it kept one leg bent slightly forward like it was balanced on the front part of its foot. I've seen coyotes do that when they're getting ready to move, but this wasn't a coyote. It never approached me. It didn't run away. I never heard any weird sounds, growls, or howls. It just turned its upper body toward me, only the upper half, not the feet, and then straightened up a little. Not all the way, just enough that I realized it wasn't hunched naturally. It was hunched because that's how its body was shaped. I didn't feel anything. No fear, no dread, none of the stuff people say. I just stood there staring at it, just trying to make sense of it. If it had fur, I couldn't tell. My headlights were hitting it from the side, so all I saw was the outline and the way the shape didn't match anything else I know. After a few seconds, it just pivoted again without moving its feet, and then stepped down the backside of the rise. One clean step. Just a single, long, controlled step. Then it was gone. I never heard it walking away. I didn't hear rocks sliding. I didn't hear anything. I stayed there another minute or two. Didn't see or hear anything else, so I got in the truck and finished the inspection route. I didn't file a report because there wasn't anything to report. I didn't see it on the roadway, and it didn't interfere with work. No point putting something like that in writing. Well, kind of contradicts what I'm doing now, but there's a big difference. I can't be certain of what I saw, but it definitely fits the description I've heard of many other dogman sightings. It's not something I'm familiar with. That's really all I can say for sure. Use my first name only. That's enough. Mark. Hi, Reels. I'm not good at talking about things, especially this. So I'll just warn you, this email's probably going to wander around a lot. I'm 57 now. This happened when I was 22. I haven't said a word about it in, God, well over 30 years. It was in Clinton County, Pennsylvania, up near Heiner View. My cousin and I used to camp on an old logging road back when you could still drive on half of them. He was 2 years younger than me. He looked up to me. I wish he hadn't. This was August of '89. It was hot enough that the night didn't cool down very much. We were walking back to the truck after fishing late. I only had one flashlight, and it was pretty dim. The moon helped more than the light did. My cousin kept saying he heard something behind us. I told him it was probably a deer. We'd seen 3 earlier that evening. He kept stopping and looking back. I should have listened to him. I should have taken it more seriously. At some point, I noticed the sound as well, and I also noticed that it wasn't behind us anymore. It was beside us, keeping pace. Not fast, just matching our steps. I told him to just keep walking. He grabbed my sleeve so tight my hand went numb. I still remember the part more than anything else. Him squeezing my arm like he was trying to crawl inside my skin. I looked left, even though I didn't want to. I didn't see a body. I didn't see a face. I just saw this dark splotch of movement between the trees. It was big. A big shape sliding from one tree to the next without ever stepping fully out. No man moves like this. It's impossible. It was sideways. Its shoulders were moving first. Its head was tucked in front of it down low. I said, "Don't run." He ran anyway. I had no choice but to run after him. I didn't hear the thing chase us, because the sound it did make was this low hum sound, like a dog does when it's warning another dog, if that makes any sense.
It wasn't loud, it was just enough that you feel it in your ribs. My cousin tripped on the gravel beside the truck. I turned around because I thought the thing was right behind us. I didn't see it at first. Then it leaned out from between two oak trees about 20 yards away from us. Only the top half. The head was exactly like a German shepherd's, but about 3 times the size of the biggest one I've ever seen. The worst part was the way it held on to that tree. I can never get that image out of my head. It held on with a hand. Long fingers hooked around the bark like it had been using trees to move along the trail quietly. I think this thing does use the trees. It's very capable of climbing with fingers that long. I think it was using the treetops to follow us, that's why we didn't hear it. Its chest was moving like it was breathing hard, but the rest of it didn't move at all. It watched us as we scrambled along trying to get to the truck. My cousin was yelling at me to get in the truck, but I couldn't move. Something about the thing's posture, the way it was staring. I don't think it was preparing to attack. It was just trying to figure out, like it was weighing out what its decisions were. When it finally moved, it didn't come forward. It turned sideways and slipped back behind the trees the way it came. The movements of this thing I'll describe as very smooth, very unnatural looking. It was so smooth that it didn't look real. I don't know if you can understand that, but I don't know how else to tell you what it looked like. The hum sound stopped the second that it was gone, out of sight. I got in the truck and drove us out of there. I drove way too fast, nearly wrecked twice. Neither of us said a word the entire way home. For weeks afterward, my cousin refused to sleep in his own room. He kept saying, "It knows my face." I told him he was just scared. He kept saying, "No, it knows what I look like." 2 months later, he left for the Marines. He said he needed to feel normal again. He passed training, but they sent him home after he had what they called a panic episode during a night exercise. I don't think it was just a panic. I think he saw something in the dark that reminded him of that night. We don't talk about it. Not since '89. He gets this look if I even mention the mountains, like he's going to throw up. I'm pretty sure what we encountered was a dogman. I don't care what it's called, really. All I know is it watched us run like we were nothing important, like we were ants, and it was chasing us with a magnifying glass, just toying with us. Something about being so insignificant to whatever that thing is, has never left me. Please don't use my name. I've already said more than I should or more than I wanted. Thank you, Reels. Anonymous. Friends, legends, family. I'm going to wrap this one up here. Every time I finish an upload, like tonight's, I just sit back for a minute and let it all settle. Because these aren't just stories to the people who live them. These are pieces of their life they've been carrying around for years, sometimes decades. These are things that change them, sometimes in ways they're still trying to figure out. You heard it tonight. 5 completely different people, all from different places, different backgrounds, different walks of life. But every one of them bumped into something that shook them down to the bone. Something they still think about in the middle of the night. I know I do. Something that didn't fit inside their world the way the rest of life does. Whether you call these things dogmen, werewolves, forest predators, or something else entirely, that's up to you. I'm not here to tell you what to believe. I'm just giving folks a place where they can finally say it out loud, without being laughed at, judged, or picked apart. And honestly, some of these people never tell another soul. You all hear it here first, and sometimes only here. So if you've ever seen something you can't explain, if you've got a night that's been sitting on your shoulders for way too long, send it in. It doesn't matter if you're scared, unsure, embarrassed, or worried someone else won't believe you. Around here, we don't do that. We don't tear people down. We listen. My email inbox is always open. I want to thank y'all for hanging out with me again, and for being the reason this channel keeps growing. Every comment, every story, every minute you guys spend here, I see it, and it means more than you know. I want to thank these individuals for reaching out to me and sending me their encounters. I truly appreciate it. None of this would be possible without people like you. Also, a huge shout out to the channel members who continue to support the channel without question. You guys are amazing. Absolute legends. Every single one of you. Everyone, please stay safe out there. You never know what's watching. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. You are not alone. I love each and every one of you. Until next time, my friends. Watch over your loved ones. Keep your head on a swivel. And as always, good night.